This is ICMTU, which is short for I Can't Make This Up, which is a live show where people from different backgrounds come together to share true stories that have happened in their life. Today's shout out goes to Boom Prosper. It's a sneaker boutique located in Jersey City at 558 Newark Avenue, Jersey City, New Jersey. So if you're looking for the freshest kicks, go to Prosper. Yes, welcome to another episode of I Can't Make This Up, the show about bringing people from different backgrounds together to share true stories that have happened in their life. I'm your host, AJ Dunk, spelled all caps. You can find me at www.ajdunk.com. Guest, if you would, please introduce yourself.
I'm Chris Gethard, and I'm a comedian who's been around for too many years in New York City.
I'm checking in from Jersey City. Where are you checking in?
I'm also in New Jersey. I grew up in New Jersey. I'll leave it at that so as to maintain privacy for the sake of my own.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, when you hear my story, too, the story I picked tonight, you'll hear why I'm very protective of my son. You'll hear it.
Jersey strong, baby. That's right. Yes. We up in here.
And you're born and raised?
Born, raised, I've attended school, I've done everything in Jersey. It's like, It's a magnet that just keeps pulling me back.
God bless you. God bless you.
My guest today, Chris, is going to share a true story that has happened. While he's telling this story, feel free in the comments, comment, type away. Go until your fingers dissolve. But if you have a question, a specific question, there's a button down there that looks like this. You press that button and submit your question. So if you want to say, hey, Chris, I think that wall behind you deserves an accent wall. Then you press that button down there and you submit your question, okay? Once he's done, I have not heard this story yet, so I'm going to hear it for the first time like everybody else. Do you, Pinky, promise that it's true?
100% true.
If you would, please share this story that you cannot make up.
Have you ever found yourself in a position where you legitimately feared that you might need to kill someone? Because this is the story of where I thought that was the most real thing for me. This story takes place last December. It's Christmas and we're still living in Queens then. So we would always find somebody in our neighborhood, go out, get a tree, and I'd carry it home every year, you know? We went to this one in Queens, it was probably 3 or 4 blocks from my house, and they had a sign up that said free delivery. He's like, pay for it, write down your phone number, write down your address, I'll have my guy come and drop it off. It'll be within the next hour or two. So I go home, my wife nurses our kid, the kid falls asleep, he takes his nap. You have to be home for this Christmas tree guy anyway. I'm going to go, get this done and this done, that errand. I need to buy this thing for myself, So I'm going to get out of the house. I'm going to go do it. So eventually the buzzer rings. Pick up. Hello, Christmas tree. I'm like, sure, come up to the 3rd floor. The guy comes up and he's this really very visibly sort of bumbling dude. Rolly baskets that people bring to the grocery store that are kind of like the vertical baskets. He's got one of those, Christmas trees in it, but the trunk is caught in one of the, because they're it's kind of like a metal grid cage style thing. It's caught in the cage. He can't get it out. He's landing on the floor. he's like grunting and sweating, and I'm like, my heart's going out to him, and I'm like, how can I help? And he's like, just hold this here, and he's trying to hoist the tree, and I'm trying to pull the kid, and it's like funny, you know, I'm like, this guy's a character. He sets it up, and he's screwing the thing in, and then he turns around, a wooden toy chest, and carved on the front of it is my son's name, Caleb. The guy's setting up the tree, and he's being all bumbly, and he's sweating. He's like, oh, God, yeah, thanks for helping me get the thing out, you know? And then all of a sudden, I see him glance at that thing, and he goes, oh, Caleb, is that your son? And, like, the bumbling energy just stopped. I'm sensing a shift. I'm sensing a change. I'm sensing something. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's my son, man. And then I just said something else. Just to keep this conversation going. He has it all set up. He's got the screws in on the bottom and the tree standing up, but it's in that net, that plastic netting that they put it in to transport it. So he says, hey, do you have a pair of scissors? To this day, this is the move that I regret. I couldn't find the scissors, but I used to keep on my desk this pocket knife. Like, all right, I can't find the scissors, man. Here's this. And I hand him the knife, and he unfolds it, and he looks at it and says, hello, beautiful, to the knife. And again, you could just see that he kind of like went somewhere else in his brain. How do I get this guy out without it being awkward, this and that? And I'm hesitating. And all of a sudden, my son starts crying on the baby monitor. He was with the knife looking at the thing. He just stops and looks up right at me. And he goes, oh, so Caleb's home? And I was just like, I'm sitting there going, I might need to kill this guy. If this guy is being really fucking weird with my kid. Oh, well, you know, he's taking a nap. You know, he's probably going to fall back asleep. He had told me his name was George. He's like, oh, okay, he's going to go back to sleep, huh? Yeah, he's going to go back to sleep. So I'm sitting there in my head going, Cal, go back to sleep, go back to sleep, go back to sleep. But he just keeps crying, keeps yelling. I don't think you can just let him sit there and cry like that all day, can you? And I was like, no. So my options right now, hey, George, you got to get the fuck out of my house right now.
Yes.
But again, this feeling of like the guy hasn't actually done anything except send these weird vibes. And I'm sitting here being over polite. So I go and I pick up Cal and I'm trying to shush him. I'm like, just go back to sleep, singing a little bit. If I put him down again, he's going to cry. So I'm like, I gotta carry him. I got to hold my son. I bring my son out into the room. And he's only 8 months old. I don't know if you've been around 8 months old. They can't really do anything. We had like a little setup in the center of the room with like the safety bars that you build in the circle so he has a place to play. And I drop him in there just so that I have both hands free. As I put my son down, he's like, oh, Caleb. Hi, Caleb. Caleb. Hello. How are you? He did a Donald Duck voice. And he walks over to the edge of the baby pen thing that we built. He's going, hello, Caleb. And my son just kind of stops, straight up just stops and is looking at him. Oh, you don't trust George, huh? You don't trust George. To me, he goes, I don't think Caleb likes having George in his house. Yeah, man, it doesn't seem that way. And we just fucking looked at each other. It felt like for about 30 seconds, you know? A couple more times he turns around, he tries to play with Cal, and Cal's just looking at him. We could hand him to anybody. He'd be laughing, he'd be playing, whatever. Whatever this fucking feeling I've been recognizing is, this 8-month-old is feeling. And he only works on instinct. He's like, yeah, I'll finish getting the net. And I was like, you know what, George, I think I got it. I got the net. Here's your tip, dude. Merry Christmas. You're off the hook. I'll finish it. You're working too hard, George. Every instinct I had was just stay between him and my son. He walked slowly and he was kind of like glancing back, and I could tell he kept wanting to look at my kid, and I just kept kind of like slow but steady. I'm going to keep walking, so you have to, dude. As soon as he cleared the door, like 3 inches away, I just slammed it, locked it. And I looked at the people and he just booked it. It was really the moment when I learned like, oh, I have it in me to kill someone. 100% do. This kid has taught me that. I'm trying to convince myself, all right, that was just, I let a guy in my house. He was just a fucking oddball, but I'm overreacting, this and that. Then I start looking around. I've never seen that knife again. George owns that knife now. That's the story I got. You can see I'm still pretty unsettled thinking about it. But yeah, George took the knife. I see people in the comments have noted that they can hear my son screaming in the background. He does that sometimes. I'm sorry if that made it even more unsettling.
But he's safe.
But
George is not there, but we know he's safe. You got to keep your kid and your sanity and just be safe. And George got a knife. Like he can go.
Merry Christmas, George. Merry
now.
Christmas, George. Keep that knife with my fingerprints on it and do what you will. Do what you will.
Caleb's first words were not even spoken. They were just sent through the eyes to George. Get the fuck out my house now.
It's really true, man. This is fucking George.
Somebody just commented, I wonder if he was warning you through the baby monitor. Oh, shit. Caleb is the MVP of this story. He's like, Dad, you know what? You woke me up. You brought George in here. I feel him. I'll make some noise. Then I'm going to tell him, George, you got to go. You're going to ruin my first Christmas or whatever Christmas this may be. Like,
yeah. Say anything normal, George. Say just one normal thing. Be like, hope we get some snow before Christmas. Say like one normal thing, George. Give me one thing just to dilute how fucking creepy this has become. Oh, God, he's not Kramer. He's Michael Richards. Oh, God, no.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. He went from acting Kramer to stand-up Kramer. Serious question. How hard was it to stay at home that night, considering George knew where you lived and, I guess, slept?
It's a great question that I haven't considered until now. It's right now filling me, 7, 8 months later, it's filling me with terror. It was a building where everybody knew everybody. So I did generally feel pretty safe in that building. George might be able to take me out, but if you threaten my son, my wife would. She would eat George alive. All right, she would eat George alive. My wife's a badass.
What did you learn from this experience, and how did your behavior change after this whole thing?
Every single thing changes in subtle ways when you have a kid. Just being a parent, there's so many things that happen one time, and you just immediately adjust.
Just because the lights aren't on, that doesn't mean that the cable bill is not paid. We can turn them lights on if we need to. So
exactly.
Just because,
that's the analogy. That's the analogy. There is a room in my house where the lights have never been turned on, but the switch is on the wall. And if I have to throw it someday, I do know where the switch is now. I know where the switch is.
What's your favorite Jersey's thing?
Ooh, you do not assume anyone's ever going to help you get where you're going. So you go, you make it happen. So that's what I like. Most.
How would you like the people to remember you?
Well, first of all, thank you. You thank me for telling the story. Thank you for the platform. It's the first time I've told that story publicly. So thank you for that. As far as how I would like to be remembered, I guess anyone watching this, I hope you just remember me as a good dad with the ability to kill. If George ever sees this and he's sitting around going, oh my God, I feel so bad, I left that impression. Apologies, George, but it was freaky.
If you believe this story, hit me with an all caps, please. If you believe this story, hit me with an all caps. If you don't believe this story, say, The Incredibles are not a real family. What we have learned today, we have learned that we live our lives one way, and then once we give life to something else and we find it precious and that comes from us, we are willing to do anything for it. One all caps. We got another all caps. I consider this story to be all caps certified. My name is AJ Dunk, spelled all caps. You can find me at www.ajdunk.com. From there, you've got my Facebook, my Instagram, my Twitter. It's all located at ajdunk.com. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend that you know this friend. Once again, the name is AJ Dunk, spelled all caps. Don't forget, laughter's always in style, and let them know, Ma.